Hi guys, this is Balash and this is another update about my new material. So this is the fourth installment of my making of video series about the new material, and then in today's episode I'm gonna talk about recording bass guitar. It's gonna be a bit different than the the recording guitars video, because I'm not actually gonna record bass. First of all, I suck at bass and it's not that interesting, I think. But I will talk about how I mix the bass guitar, and yeah, there will be another snippet of a new song as well. So another update about the new material is that I finished programming the drums for the sixth song. The songs are rather varied in melodic death metal style. So you will have fast songs, you will have slow songs, you will have mid-tempo songs. I also started mixing the 4 songs that that have been kind of finalized in terms of recording, and I have a pretty good idea with the basic mix so far. So that's what you will hear. So disclaimer, it's not a final mix, it's just a mix. As I said, today we are talking about bass guitar, and this is the bass guitar I use for the recordings. It's a Harley Benton progressive series. I don't know what the actual name is, B450 or something like that. It has active electronics. I think it's alder body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard. The only thing I modified are the tuners. Not locking, they are Goto tuners, but not locking tuners, of course. The original stock tuners were crap, to be honest. So that was the only thing I changed. It has 2 humbuckers. For the recordings, I used it in active mode, and on the preamp of the guitar, I maxed out the volume, maxed out the treble. I think the bass is like a bit boosted, but more like not cranked fully. And the pickup is 75%, the bridge pickup. In the price range, probably one of the best bass guitars. I'm not a bass player, so not gonna hear any slapping and shit in this video. I play with the pick, and I mostly follow the root notes of the guitars. Yeah, there are some fills here and there, but I mostly follow the root notes, and sometimes actually the bass lives its own life. So while the guitar keeps playing the same riff, the bass changes the root note. It gives an impression like a pedal note would be in like a baroque music. So that's something melodic death metals do a lot, so I do it as well. It got new strings. The set I'm using is actually Roto Sound Swing Bass, the stainless steel one. It's 40 to 125, and I only use the 60 to 125 strings. Okay, so as I mentioned, I recorded the bass guitar with that Harley Benton bass. The plugin I used was the bass knob STD from Bogren Digital with the cab engaged. So that was it. That's why I didn't find it interesting to show you how I record the bass, so I only record DI basically. As you can see, there are 3 channels. Each of them is the same performance, so basically I just duplicated the DI track, and all the 3 channels have a different treatment, and that's what I'm going to show you in this run through. So first of all, let's just hear the DI track on its own. Okay, so this is how the DI sounded, but obviously that's not gonna be enough for my bass purposes here in this kind of music. So let's hear the part first. We will kind of mix the bass guitar in this part. I think people don't really realize how much the bass sound is actually part of the sound and of the guitar sound as such. So I'm gonna play the part again and play and turn off the bass, and you will see the difference. Like, it's enormous. Basically, it just sounds like a very flat dump of sound without the bass guitar. I think that's what kind of keeps the whole thing under control. Yeah, let's just hear this part with only the bass. Right? So that's already, I think, a pretty good backbone to the whole mix if you have a good drum and bass sound. So what do I do to process this? So as I said, there are 3 channels of bass, and all the 3 channels are routed to something called the bass main. That's this group channel, and this then goes to the mix bus. There is a lot of processing on the bass, so I will show you what I do. And starting from the left, here are my bass tracks. So first, I have a channel called the bass DI, and as you see, before going into any of these plugins, the bass DI has a high filter actually, at very low, 162 Hz. This actually sounds like this. This is going to be giving me the low end of the bass guitar. There is a stock compressor on it with quite a large gain reduction, 3 dB. You can see it in the waveform that there are pretty big spikes on the bass, and that's just tame those. So let's turn off everything. So this is how it sounds without any. And then the compressor evens out the sound. And then the next one is the CLA, which is kind of like a bass plugin. What I use is the compression. So I just move these faders until they sound good. I'm pushing the compressor, and then I increase some low frequencies. And then this whole thing gets really compressed, so with the limiter, and that's a big part of the sound. It's nearly 6 dB gain reduction. And obviously we get some volume back. Okay, so the next channel I have for bass is what I call the bass mid. So this is like the fundamental frequencies of the bass that you actually hear in the mix properly. I use the aforementioned bass top with exactly the same setting, so it's at 9. And also a limiter, but this doesn't limit as much as the one on the low mids. It just basically as a guitar limiter, it just shaves off the very spiky notes. And there is, in this one, there is a high low filter at 190. And I'll show you why. So I pull the filter until I think it sounds the best. So this distorted sound is not nice. So I kind of want the bass, this mid bass sound like a guitar with not as much distortion and lower, of course. And I filter out the low frequencies to kind of have that effect. Best to set it with having the low channel on as well. You might think that in solo it sounds good around 200 and a bit above 200, but in the mix actually it kind of starts to sound weak, so that's why I found this 190 as a sweet spot for it. And the third channel is a pretty simple one. It's basically what I call the bass high. This is how it sounds in solo. You might think it's just noise, and you're right, it's just noise. But it has a pretty dramatic effect actually in the mix. I will show you that later. So on this channel, the low filter is actually set very high. It's like 850 Hertz, because I only want to hear that high sizzle, and that's the only thing I want to capture with this one. We have something for this 1K area with the bass mid, but I want to have something high. So if I think my bass is not bright enough, I can just adjust the volume of this. For this one, I'm using the Neural DSP Soldano. It's actually something I use for the guitars very often, but only thing I turn off the pedal. The overdrive is at 2. So let's hear the bass guitars only with the drums, and I will turn on and off this high bass. So this gives this aggression to the bass, that grind that we all like so much these days. Like if I would make a rock song, like in my last Bogram digital entry, that was kind of a rock song, I didn't use the high channel. But if it's like a distorted, balls out metal song, like this one, I do need that to kind of, it glues together the sound in the middle, because like the two guitars on left and right, and this is in the middle. Yeah, one thing. It's good to use the same amp sim for this high channel as the one that you use for the guitars, because that will really glue together the sonics of that distorted range of the guitar. Okay, let's move on to the bass mains. So on the bass mains, there are my basic filters at 4060 Hertz. There is some boominess around the 150 area, because that's where the low channel and the mid channel meet. So there is kind of build up. You need to cut that almost all the time. This low whistle or something like that. Yeah, it just sounds nicer this way. And then, because you want to hear it in the mix a bit, I pushed the 1K area, and there was a whistle around 1800 Hertz where I cut. Other than that, there is a chorus on the bass, so I will bypass it and then put it back on. Is just to basically have a kind of spread in the stereo field. It's not just straight in the middle, kind of. And the final thing I have on the bass main is actually a limiter, which limits less than the one we had on the bass part of the bass, but a bit more than a guitar limiter would. So like 2-3 dB gain reduction, just kind of have everything under control. You want to have the bass in your mix in a straight line. Okay, let's hear the bass again after we know all this smart SRE. And so pretty much that will be the bass sound I will go with. This 3-channel method enables you to have more bass in like slower parts and reduce the bass in fast parts or more dense drum parts. So because you have 3 triple faders, you can just simply automate the volume depending on the part later on the mix. I don't have anything automated yet. One thing I wanted to show you in context of the whole mix was how this high channel affects the sound, and also how we would level these. Let's hear the part with guitars and everything, and I will level the tracks for my liking. Okay, with the bass DI, normally I found that's the lowest in the mix, and I just want to pull it into a point where you hear this constant in the mix, like this constant sound of the low end of the bass guitar. Almost vocal, this one. And with the bass, like with the mid, obviously you want to hear that. Low bass. So around -7, that's the one where it kind of fits with everything. You hear it, but it's not overwhelming. The high is a pretty interesting one because you will barely hear when I pull the fader up, but after a certain point you will hear that it brightens up your mix. So it's almost nasal if I pull it down, and it will brighten up as I pull it up. So I set it in a way to the position where it starts to brighten up the mix. And the final step is just basically setting the mains volume, but that will vary probably in the phase of automation. So for me here, like the hot tip is that very the position when you reduce it a bit more and then you feel the bass disappearing, that's where you keep your fader, and then maybe a bit above that. After I check the bass level in the full mix, I also check it against the drums. And then once I compared it to the drums, then I set it to the guitars. And when it works with both, you're probably in the right spot. And then it just needs like 52 more mixed versions to get it right. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found the way I mix the bass guitar useful and something you can take away. If you like the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe. Please also leave a comment if you have any questions or anything you want to see in my process of recording my new album. If you like the music under the video or any previous music of mine, just don't forget to follow me on Spotify, Facebook, and all the Instagram and all the socials. And if you really like the music and you want to support my channel, please buy the Equations CD. It includes both my EPs, so the Anti-Life and the Equation EP as well. If you're not into CDs, you can stream it on Spotify or Bandcamp or whatever. Thanks very much, guys.